Would I love every black person in this country to get $1 million check and 100 acres of land? Absolutely. Are they owed that amount? 100%, if not more. Black people who would get that, it would bankrupt the whole country.
For the people that built the country to make you that fucking money, all of a sudden now you worried about being bankrupt when you spend trillions of dollars on defense, trillions of dollars on unnecessary, trillions of dollars to send black men, especially to jail, trillions of dollars to drug the fuck up our whole country, trillions of dollars to fuck the food up, to fuck the air up, to fuck the water up, trillions of dollars to make people sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker in this country, but you mad? We don't have the money because plain and motherfucking simple, you do not like black people. It is very obvious. For hundreds of years, we've been the most hated. Within that hatred comes the hypocrisy of loving our culture. You've made trillions off of our motherfucking culture. White musicians, all of them, have made money off of black fucking culture. All of rock, all of jazz, all the shit we created from the oppression, which is in itself. The oppression and the fucking abuse and the rape and the putting down of us, we create blues, jazz, rock and roll, reggae, ska. We invent all of that shit. And to top it off, we invent all the mod that you all use. From the video game cartridge, Henry Lawson. We got the pacemaker, Otis Boykin. We have the late Dr. Bath, who created the laser eye surgery. We have Dr. Gladys, who's still alive, who's almost 80 years old, who created GPS. We have the guy who created the algorithm for Instagram, who's a 21-year-old Ghanaian kid. We've done all this shit. Then the internet was discovered by a Nigerian guy in the 80s. Like, we've done all of this innovation, even though we've been shit on and continue to be shit on every motherfucking day, right? Because nobody wants us to live anywhere. Nobody wants us to have this unless we're playing sports for them athletically or sexually satisfying. All black people are good for. We're supposed to be at people's beck and fucking call when they want us to entertain them or make them some kind of money. But if we ask for being autonomously wealthy on our own, being autonomously having our own shit, all of a sudden everybody pitches everybody has a fucking hissy fit. You don't want us in your neighborhood. You don't want us in your schools. You don't want us doing anything. But then when we say, hey, okay, that's cool, because Muhammad Ali said, hey, man, I think we should have our own state. I don't want to live amongst you. Like, well, why not? You don't want us around. You're segregating everything. And then as soon as we want to go, white people start panicking. You know, we don't want to be around you, so you can call us. We're tired of white cops shooting us. We're tired of this pissing contest that these white cops have because they're afraid of black dicks for some reason. Because most of this shit, black dick envy. We're tired of that shit. So what about this? Why don't we just give us what you owe us and we can go on and do our own shit? But no, they don't want that. White folks especially hate autonomous black happiness. They do not like when we are by ourselves doing our own shit. They cannot stand that. They don't even like us in a group. Whites always got to have their hand in our shit. And if they're not part of it, then we're back to being spoons and spades and all this other.
Yeah, man. Giving all praises to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, B'Hashem HaRuach send double honors to our apostles and elders here at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. Yeah, man, what Godfrey said right there, man, was legit, and he can keep going. And we can all keep going. We'll all keep going on the wealth that our people created and didn't receive a dime from it. And that goes back to the curses. Because what you're dealing with here, you are dealing with children of the living power. Where on this earth, the Lord single-handedly claimed the Israelites as a people of his own by way of a promise that he made to our forefathers, Abraham. And ever since that day, the world has been out against us because they know that we are the children of the Heavenly Father. And if it's one thing that they can't stand, is that no amount of oppression and no amount of weapon that's formed against the Israelites is enough to completely wipe us out at worst, or at most, just completely neuter our self-confidence, our ability to thrive, and to just give up on life and just completely surrender, right, our lives and our creativity and our ingenuity and our innovativeness on over and just be slaves on the earth. But no, even when we're in oppression, we like you heard the brother say, we make music, we make life, we create things out of being down. You understand? Even out of, you don't know this, but man, just about everything you see that we use every day came from an Israelite man or Israelite woman. especially in slavery. You know, I got this book of black inventions, man, and it just tell you that everything that we created was because we was in a position of difficulty. The alarm systems, everybody's alarm system, the first one to actually create the patent for an alarm system was a so-called black woman. I forget her name. She was a black woman. And that's because she was in Harlem. She lived in a dangerous neighborhood. Her husband would go off to work at night, so she would be by herself. She got afraid. So what did she do? She came up with a plan to secure herself, and she used what she had in her means to make herself safe. And it goes into the specifics as to what she did, just to ensure if anybody knocked on the door, came in her area, it would let her know. And she then went and patented that, and that's the foundation for all alarm systems. Even trains, the reason why trains run the way they run is because at first, when they used to run trains, they had to stop it every 5-10 minutes, oil up the gears because they would overheat. And that's how so you keep stopping every 5-10 minutes, stopping every 5-10 minutes. But it was an Israelite man, a so-called black man, who came up with the lubrication system, where it was a continuing dripping of oil on the gears. So now the trains can move without stopping. Our people was the origins of that. And that's just 2 examples I use. And this is what happens to this day. And these other nations, they know that, and they can't stand it, because their first option is, well, if we oppress them, then that's how we defeat them. But look what happens when you oppress us. We still continue to grow. We still are the reason that Babylon the Great is even standing today. It still comes from the Israelites, still in our lowest estate. So imagine when we're on our own. Imagine when we're on the top. That's the nightmare for these other nations, especially these Edomites, because of jealousy. The book of Genesis chapter 32, verse 24. And Jacob, Hebrew word Yaquab, was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I would not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall no more be called Jacob, but Israel. So thy name shall no more be called Yaquab, but Yashar Allah. In Hebrew, Yashar Allah, he is a prince of God, a prince of the power. He Shar, Prince, Allah, power. For as a prince, thou hast power with Yahweh and with men, and has prevailed. So Jacob wrestled with an angel because once he realized that was an angel, he said, I'm not letting go until you bless me. So at that point, he said, your name is called Yashar Allah. He is a prince of the power. For as a prince, you have power, not just with men, but with the Most High as well, and has prevailed. So what makes you think you can stop a people like that? Jacob wrestled with the angel and got the blessing and prevailed. You see, the Lord had all this set up from the beginning so that these people may know you are dealing with the children of the living power, man. The children of the living creator. No, you can't stop them. The book of Exodus, chapter 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. Dan and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the sons that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren in that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. You understand? Just as the Lord said, we would be fruitful and we would multiply as the sand of the sea. That's how you know in the ancient we practice polygamy. A lot of Israelites have a problem with that because they're being emotional, but just know you wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for it. Jacob had 12 sons. They came out of 4 women. And we went to have children by our wives, and we multiplied exceedingly. How do you think we did that? It's actually a blessing. People are so afraid of it because people get emotional, but it's a blessing, especially in its righteous sense and its right order. And that's what we're going back to. But it said, we waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with us. And there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, all right, the Egyptians, the Canaanites, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. And it's more than just on the physical sense. When you study the Africans, the Canaanites, and the Hamites versus the Shemites, we are vastly different. And I mean, we are different and we are better in every way. An Edomite pointed out to me, I didn't even realize this, he pointed out to me. He said, when you study the Israelites, so-called black people, and when you study the Egyptians, the Canaanites, he said, you notice a lot of differences. He said, for one, he said, them Africans can't grow their hair long. I didn't even know that till I actually thought about it. And I said, oh, he's right. Their men and their women, their hair can't grow past like a certain point. Now, I'm sure there's a few that may be the exception, but that is true. Like when our hair grow, it can grow long out, both men and the women. But when it comes to them and their women, it hits a certain point. And he said, and he mentioned a few other things, just as far as features alone. That's how you know there's a distinction. And them Canaanites, they know the distinction. They eat monkeys and eat monkeys' ears and stuff like that. And, have cows piss on their head in the morning as a shower and put plates in their chins. And the things they do. We don't do that shit. But this is their tactic. Verse 10, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there fall out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. So they took a counsel against the Israelites. And the counsel was, we have to deal with these people lest they eventually overtake us. That's always the fear in all these other nations, especially Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. See, we already know. So like Godfrey said, don't give us that BS story about, well, we don't really have the money because it'll bankrupt the country. No, we know that ain't it. What it is you afraid of putting money in our pockets. You afraid of actually letting us go. Yeah, the majority going to spend it on dumb shit, but most of us are people, if just given the opportunity to land to our own, what we're going to do naturally, we're going to thrive. And what's going to naturally occur is that there's going to be a shift in power. They know that. And we all know that. And it's amazing because here it is. You act like you don't want us around. You call us the problem of the earth. But when given the opportunity to try to be separated from you, you're saying, no, we're not going to do that because we know what's going to happen. So what are we stuck in? We're stuck in oppression, and they just say, we'll just use your talents. We'll use your gifts to make us money, to make us rich. And that's where we're at today. It goes on. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them in their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasured cities, Pithom and Rameses. You see, that's what they did. We can't stop them. We can't compete with them on the level. These are the children of the living power. But what we can do, we can oppress them. And then we could try to just force them to build, our cities or whatnot. When you go into slavery, don't you realize that our people actually found a way to, I believe it's called, starts with an M. Forgot what it's called. Manumission or something like that. The Edomites, the so-called white people, offered our people a chance at freedom if they can come up with some type of, or engineer some type of device that could help them gain crops more, pick more, whatever, and they could buy their freedom, or if they had a way to help oppress their own slaves. So they use that as a method because they couldn't come up with nothing. They didn't have it in them. They still don't have it in them to this day. So they use our people, our creativity. They said that even while we were in slavery, we found a way to make things easier on us. So we created tools and devices just to do the things that we've done. And they said, okay, well, how about this? If you can come up with a way to sell us a device and we patent it, like I get the credit for it, the Edomite, the slave master get the credit for it, I'll let you go free. So that was a way to incentivize us to use our creativity to make up tools and or systems to help oppress our own people, so that the slave master could then take the patent for it, get paid for it, and then that one slave will be free. That's how they had to oppress us, you understand? Because they're dealing with a people that can't be stopped. You can't stop us. You can't. There's even history telling you that when we were in slavery, right? They wanted to force our so-called black women to wear hair wraps when they go out and about, because the hair will attract the Edomites, the Edomite men. And the Edomite women didn't want to lose the men. So our women they wanted them to cover themselves up. So that's just proof that both the men, and you already know how the Edomite man feels about the Israelite, the so-called black man. You already know how he feels about her. There's an Edomite that says, he said, he on the internet, he said, I got a blue-eyed, blonde-haired daughter. And he said that if she ends up with a black man, I'm ending it all for all of us. That's what he said. You do realize every single Edomite man, every daughter that he has, his goal is to try to keep her out of the hands of an Israelite man, because he knows that their women lust after Jake man. They know that. Even in slavery, there's history on how these devils oppressed our men, because these women, they were the Edomite women, she was the most fucking connivance bitch in slavery. The things she forced our men to do. Dude, they would after they would hang a slave, those Edomite women would when they take the slave off the tree, they would sneak around, jump over fences to try to hump the body. That's necrophilia, but that shows you that's abuse for one, disrespect for our corpses of our fathers and our grandfathers and our men. But these Edomite knew that their daughters envied Jake. So they would get mad, just like in that movie Life. Okay, they make these jokes, but there's truth in every joke. They know if they bring their daughters around enough, they're going to take a liking to the Israelite men, though they're trying to exalt themselves above them, and they're trying to jump into bed with them. They already know. And now that you could say we're so-called free, they already know that they women want a piece of Jake. They already know. Okay. So everybody's looking at the Israelite man and woman. Here it is. We're supposed to be the vial of the earth, right? The scum of the earth. We're the problem of the earth. Oh, the Mexicans, the Issachar, they're the problem of the earth. If we just got rid of them, our country would be great. The scripture tell you that the Israelites, wherever they go, they make that land great. Genesis 22, verse 15. And the angel of the Lord Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time and said, By myself have I sworn, said the Lord Yahweh, for because thou hast done this thing and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So wherever we go, that land gets better, because you are dealing with the people of the children of the living power. So you want to talk about Native American Indians being savages, which are the Gadites, right? You want to talk about that, but But you do you have any idea how hard of a stretch that they have to make to try to make out the Gadites to be savages? Do you know people's not longer buying that? Because how can these people be savages when they welcomed you with open arms? And if it wasn't for their telling you how to survive, you would have died because you don't know how to survive nature. And how is it that when you came over here, before you came over here, you could drink out of every single pond because they loved nature. They respected the earth. To this day, they have it in their spirit. You can't take that from them, but you're going to try to convince the world that they're the savages. There was no such thing as the common cold until you Edomites, you so-called white people and Jewish people came over here. All of these shots that you have to get at birth, whereas it's tetanus, MMR, chicken pox, all of that was only in Europe. It was not over here on this side until you so-called white people came over. So these people, kids and stuff, got to get vaccinated thanks to you Edomites, thanks to you, because of your uncleanliness. And that's another thing. You Edomites, you so-called white people, you hate being clean. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows a so-called white man and white woman don't wash their hands. They tell you to their face they want to live like they want to live like a caveman and cavewoman. They don't like cleanliness. They don't like sanitizing. There's videos out there of Edomite women, which some of them could be Jake, and giving thanks to so-called black women for teaching them how to be clean, for teaching them how to bathe. Is even in that show. It was not Martin, but what's the other show that our people like? But they basically admit they don't like using washcloths, and our people use washcloths. We about cleanliness over here. These, especially the so-called white woman, the Edomite woman, they don't like being clean. Them bitches are filthy. You know what I'm saying? They don't clean. They say I just let the water, I shampoo my hair and I let the shampoo do the rest. These old filthy, stanky dogs, man. They hate being clean. Everybody knows it. Right? It's our people that deal with cleanliness. Because as they say, cleanliness is next to godliness. And who's the most clean, hygienic people on the earth? The Israelites. All right, our people, going back to the Gadites, if it wasn't for their obedience to the law in some shape, because they still went off, right? The earth would already been in turmoil by the time y'all got over here because you guys, you don't believe in Sabbaths. You don't believe in land Sabbaths. You don't believe in respecting the land. All right, our people, Northern Kingdom, they know the earth has a pulse, man. You got to respect the earth. You got to respect the leaves. You got to respect the animals. Okay? Like Lion King, Mufasa, him teaching Simba the way of life. You got to respect the creatures and we all get along, all that. You get that speech on the daily when it comes from the Native American Indians. You crackers, you Edomites, you don't like that. All you think of is death. So the evidence is in itself, man. Everything is just a token, man. You are the children of death. We are the children of life. Back in Exodus 1:11 or 12, it says, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and the children, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel, because they thought when they put us in slavery and they put us to work and they used all of our gifts and our talents against us and to get themselves rich, that would break our spirit. But all it did was make us grow even more. Look at that. We create music out of our captivity, beautiful, heart-touching music. And you try to steal from it. You try to rock from it, steal from it and talking about some rock, talking about some Elvis. Elvis was whack, okay? And that's all y'all had. All right? He stole everything, his smoothness or whatever from James Brown. You know, that's what we did. That's what we created. In fact, there's history on that. Did you know that they were trying their hardest to, when they so-called invented rock, which came from our people, that they were trying to isolate Jake from Esau, Edom naturally because they are afraid that our music was drawing the Edomites to come to our clubs. And their whole thing is about being separate. But they know every time we came up with something, it drew them together. You could say they wanted to come around us and they were fighting to try to separate themselves from this. So they say, oh, we stick to rock and country. Our people created that. And our people are better at that than you. The guitar came from us. The piano came from us. It all came from us. You have us to thank for the instruments, and you have us to thank for how the music is played. It goes on. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field, all the service wherein they made them serve with rigor. And the children of it's like, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives of the same name of the ones of Shiphrah and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. So that's another tactic. Oh, we'll just kill them. The abortion clinics were set up by Margaret Sanger to target black men, in particular, so-called black men. And they said, we're going to use the black woman to do it. Same strategy. Let's convince them that they need to die. Let's convince them that they're just too poor to exist. Let's convince them to break up the families. If we target the families, that'll surely destroy them, right? So the very origins of Planned Parenthood, the very origins of abortion starts with trying to stop Israel. Stop us. You can't stop us. And if only our people actually knew and understand that concept, but we understand we under the curses. We look at what happened with Black Wall Street. Look at what happened. Look at what they did. A community where our people was just thriving. Wasn't no gang violence, no nothing. We were just living in a small piece of land. And in that small piece of land, we had airports. We had hospitals. Come on, man. Airports. We had buildings. Man, we were good. And guess what? There was no violence. But and what happened? What did the Edomites do? Out of rage, they burnt that city to the ground. And to this day, there hasn't been a single arrest made. They want to bury that. Why? Because that in itself is a token. If we are left alone to our own devices in a very short time, and we're talking one generation, the power dynamic would shift. So everything set up in place to this day is to ensure that our people stay on the bottom. They watch over us like a hawk. These tactics and all this is set up as a hawk to keep us down. The family division, empowering our women against us, all that's set up and that's fueled. But with the core systems, child support, abortion, all that stuff is fueled every single day to keep us divided, to keep our families divided. They know what they're doing. Because if we were left to ourselves, man, naturally we are going to surpass them. And that is why the Lord allowed those Edomites to take us down, such as Black Wall Street, because we're under the curses, man. We're under the curses. Just look up, what's the devil? The Willie Lynch letter. That whole letter is designed to try to, this is how we can maintain superiority over these people. They're very complex and it's very hard to do, but if we keep working at it, we can do it. We can achieve it. I know we can. Okay, first and foremost, you have to get the black woman on our side. We have to use her to destroy the family. We have to. And they've been using it ever since. And that's another thing you bring up, because in the section, he titled it the N-word marriage. And he said, you got to use the black woman. You have to emasculate the black man and use the black woman to destroy the family. You have to. And that's another thing. That's what our men don't get. You got to understand something. You know, our men, we go all about, and we just wish that our women would comply. You know, you don't understand. If we actually had cooperating wives, man, and we're talking generally speaking, sure, there's a good one, you know, not everyone is considered that. But if we actually had cooperating wives, man, that actually listen to the man and understand, like, hey, my job is to serve the men, right? My husband, and I'm not gonna use this devil tactics to oppress my own man. Do you know what happened, man? What happened is Black Wall Street. That's what happened, and it'll keep happening. And this devil he would have to keep committing the same genocide over and over, because we Israelites, first of all, were strong, especially the men. We are strong. We will go and fight the whole world, right, and still come home, and we will put up with that. But as long as you have control over your family, right, that's all. That's enough. These men are very simple creatures. So the men are just wishing. We just wish that our women were on board. We wish our women were in compliance, right? Because at the very least, we know that as men, if we had that much, what would happen? We would thrive. We would take over this world. We would keep doing it over and over. But it's not going to happen. Why? Because the devil used a woman against us. So that's why men are upset. They're trying to convince, they're trying to convince the so-called black women. I just don't get it. If you guys would just comply, man, we'd be good. But that's exactly why it's a curse, because the Lord knows, man, we are simple creatures. If at the very least we had control over our families, the oppression from Esau Edom, dealing with his bullshit on the job, dealing with it wouldn't stop us. We would still thrive. So the woman is a curse as oppression, man. It just is. It's a curse. The book of Isaiah 5. It says, "Now will I sing unto my well-beloved the song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine and built a tower in the midst of it and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, but it brought forth wild grapes. O now inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes." And what he's saying is that our people became a bunch of heathen. He planted a noble seed, but we became degenerates. We're strangers to him. Verse 5, "And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof." That's very important. The hedge is the protection. So if we go back to Black Wall Street, why did they fall? Because they had no protection around them. The Lord was not watching them. If they had protection, then that would not have happened. And guess what would have happened to this country? It would have been overtaken by our people. Not even seeking to do that. Just naturally, we're going to thrive and the power balance would shift. Our cities would have been these cities that people would travel to for surgeries or health care, because we would naturally thrive. We would say, look, you guys using big pharma? No. Over here, okay, thanks to, our brothers, the Gadites and the Northern Kingdoms and the Reubenites and the Asherites, we know we instead figured out through the Lord, natural healing. Come on over here, because, people go travel when all else fails and they want that cancer treatment or whatever. Our cities would have been those cities. When it comes to home and affordability and opportunities, those would have been our cities. Guess what these Edomites would do? They would be filled with wrath, but they wouldn't be able to do nothing because the Lord was on our side. But the Lord took away the hedge. That's why it failed. And then you got Israelites trying to build another community in Atlanta, dude. This isn't the place. They'll just do it again. And so you're putting your own people in danger. Our kingdom is going to be in the heavens, but all of this that happens in the earth is just a token of what happens when the other nations try to oppress us by any means possible. We still thrive, and the tokens of proof is evident. You can't deny it. Everybody knows the reason you oppress us the way you do is because you're afraid of what we're going to become, and your ultimate end is that you're afraid that we're going to do to you what you did to us. You're afraid of your women leeching on to Jake. You're afraid, right, of you not being desired. Nobody wants you, man. Nobody wants you Edomites, man. It goes on. Nobody wants to be like you, man. Everybody wants to be like Jake. Right? It says, now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. Because that's the point at the end of the day. Though we are the children of Israel, though we are sons of the living power, sons of the living power, okay, though we are talented, though we are gifted, at the end of the day, we still need our Lord, Yahweh, Yahushua, for protection still. Just like when Moses, when the Amalekites came up to fight against us, he had to keep his hands up with the staff of the Lord, and we prevailed. And when his hands got rested, tired, and put his hands down, the Amalekites prevailed. So they put up like a pillar under him to help him keep his hands up all the way to victory. That right there was symbolizing from the gate that our power comes from on high, and we still need him to be prosperous. So if we don't have that, if we don't have that hedge, we're still exposed to the elements, so to speak. So we still need him. Psalms 86, verse 6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High. Israelites. That's what we are. The other nations, they're envious because they know, okay, that we are the children of Yahweh. They want to look like us. They want to look like us. They want to be like us. They want to talk like us. They want to mimic us. Vocab Malone, he wants to be an Israelite so bad. He's trying to be like us. You can't be like Jake, bro. You ain't the real seed. You the seed of wicked. You ain't the seed of Jake. So your rap career, all that, tank it, bro. You ain't Jake. And that's all we can tell you. But his attitude, because he's an Amalekite, and Amalekite envies Judah specifically. Even Ben Stiller said that. Every Jewish person wish they were black. Yeah, because the real Jews are black. And you ain't Judah. Trying to mimic Judah. Give it up. Give it a rest. Give it a rest. Okay, it's Israel, especially Southern Kingdom that leads in trends and whatnot to the whole world. Even in oppression, even if it's wicked, it's still catchy. Everybody wants to be like Jake in our oppression. What do you say about that? If these people are such a nuisance to the planet Earth, why is it that everybody wants to be like them? Why are you so afraid of leaving them to their own? Why can't they have their own neighborhoods and all? No, we got to watch over that. We just can't allow that. Yeah, because you know what's going to happen. Eventually that neighborhood is going to turn into a city, and that city is going to turn into a damn state. And you can't allow that. But all the while you want to shit on us and talk down on us like, yeah, if it wasn't for us white people cleaning you guys up, cleaning you monkeys up. No, if anything, the world is suffering under you. Our people are looking up ways to try to clean up after your fucking mess. And this is all while we're in slavery, okay? Even in oppression, even when we're on the bottom, our people still, our Jake still find a way to look nice. He still find a way to have on some nice shoes, nice clothes, all that while being oppressed. And he probably only got $100 to his name, but he still looked nice. He got a nice car, and they wonder how he do it. I'm trying to figure out how he do it too. I know why, because he a Jake. Jake's still gonna find a way to look fly. Whereas a damn Edomite who got acres of land, all that, he still go outside and he look like a damn bum. And these other nations know, they say, like Ishmael, for example, why you think they're in the malls trying to sell our people fake jewelry? Because they know who's really the king, okay, of jewelry. All right, our princes and princesses, we take that jewelry, we make it shine, man. We make it look good. These other nations, they don't like jewelry, so they try to sell you fake jewelry. We know them Hebrews, them Hebrew men and women really like jewelry. They're selling some fake jewelry because, you know, they it's naturally in them to shine. Yeah. So everybody's capitalizing off us, but they won't give us access to the diamonds. They won't give us access to the mining fields. They won't give us access to the gas stations and all that, but they'll come plant it in the hood, right? And nobody wants to work together with them. No, the idea is to keep the Israelites oppressed, and we just capitalize off them. That's what this is about, man. You are dealing with children that wrestle with an angel and prevail, man. You can't stop Israel. And this is all when we in our captivity. Just wait till we get in our kingdom. Literally, the whole earth is going to shine, man. So he says, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O Yahweh, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. So that's why the Lord took the hedge away, so we're going to die like men, man. We're going to die like men, but we are gods. All of us, just knowing, if we wake up to the fact that we're Israelites, that's a hidden superpower unlocked that put the other nations in tremble in fear. I was in this grocery store in this nicer area at one point, and I guess something must have happened with them Amalekites or some called Jews. There was many of them in there. They all looked terrified, and I'm not even looking at them funny because they just know that I know. You got the look on your face. I know. That right there terrifies them because knowledge is power. Because even the Lord himself said, Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So knowledge is power, because if you lack knowledge, you're destroyed. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of Yahweh, I will also forget thy children. So these other nations terrified if they can just look at you and they can just know that you know. You ain't even got to say nothing. They just see it on your countenance. They see it on your eyes. You look at that, you're like, you're a bunch of frauds. And they're like, they finally know. You're right, I know. You could try to play the part all you want. You ain't got the spirit. Your neighborhood's a dull. You create nothing. You're known for death. Nobody wants to be like you. You know? The true ghettos is the ghettos. The Martin Luther King, the slums. You know, that's the true ghetto right there. I'll get one more. You know, I go all day on this. You know, I'm passionate about that. You want to talk about who's special? Let's talk about it. We got the tokens, man. We got the scriptures. We can bring up your receipts, you Edomites. Like I said, all the plagues and diseases and the vaccines. Guess who created the vaccine? Our people, so-called black women, created that, man. How about that? Are you going to give credit to what credit's due? Of course not. But all of these diseases that's brought forth, you know, all these things can go back to you. Uncleanness goes back to you. Lice, termites, dead zones in the oceans, bees dying. What else? These STDs, flesh-eating bacteria, STDs, goes back to eating shellfish. That goes back to you Edomites too, as well as you other nations. Yeah, all this shit goes back to you, man. Let's talk about your history. Let's talk about what you actually brought forth that's productive. Oh, we done a lot of things that's productive. Yeah, like what? Well, we invented the railroads. Our people created that. Well, we figured out how to build. Nope, our people built that. We created that. You know what you're responsible for? Death, diseases, GMOs, obesity, pharmaceuticals, right? You know what I'm saying? All these things, you know what our people are responsible for? Healing, herbs, good diet. Everybody knows the best diet is the Mediterranean diet, which goes back to the Middle East, which goes back to our law. Yeah, the laws and the scripture was given from the Most High. Yeah, that's our custom. You're responsible for plastic. Get out of here, man. This is Isaiah 42, verse 6. I, the Lord Yahweh, have called thee in righteousness, and will hold thine hand, and will keep thee, and give thee for a covenant of the people, for a light of the Gentiles, to open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. I am the Lord Yahweh, that is my name, and my glory will I not give unto another, neither my praise to graven images. The Lord will not give his glory to another people. It's going to rest on the bosom of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob forever. No matter what you do, no matter how much you oppress us, no matter how much you try to set a snare for us or accuse us to the Father, the Lord will not give his glory to another. Period. With that, shalom.